Well, in Portland, Oregon, that city has now seen 57 days in a row of anti-racism protests. Heated scenes on the streets continue, and last weekend, Donald Trump did send in U.S. federal agents, including an elite Border Patrol unit. The U.S. president says they are protecting buildings from what he calls anarchists. But as Jessica Gallagher reports, both protesters and local officials continue to demand that the federal agents leave.
I'm standing here in front of the Mark Hatfield courthouse, and this is where demonstrators have been gathering pretty much every night here in Portland. You can see that the fence has been burned. Protesters last night were trying to topple it over. We also have federal agents inside that have been deployed by President Donald Trump, trying to make sure that no one gets into this area. And there's also a cleanup crew behind me because it was such a mess last night during demonstrations. I don't know if you can see it too. We have a burnt out trash can here. Essentially, protesters have been demonstrating for the past 2 months because of the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. They started out very peacefully and they have turned violent. Last night, the demonstrations went until about 3 o'clock in the morning. They have been dispersed by federal police here, the ones that were sent by President Trump. After this was over, when the tear gas was used, there was a man that was found stabbed nearby. There has been a lot of concern from local officials. They do not want the federal agents here. They feel like they can handle it, and people are very upset because they feel like, hey, this is a local situation. We want our voices to be heard. If you're sending federal agents here who are picking people up off the street, people have been arrested, at least 18 within the last week alone, on major federal charges. That's what they're upset about. They want to be able to protest without having federal agents come in. Some of the charges that have been levied against people are arson. There have also been officers who have allegedly been hurt, and they're being charged federally on injuring officers. So very tense situation in the evening here. Also across the street from me is essentially Pioneer Square. Lots of people have gathered there. They're peacefully standing around, getting ready for tonight's protest as well. This is essentially a standoff between local officials, local people, and the federal government.
And our thanks there to reporter Jessica Gallagher in Portland with the very latest on the protests in that city.